Hello, everyone. Had an experience where I really wanted to maybe talk about Für Elise. I know it's not a piece, it's not a thing. Well, it is a thing. It's another practice opportunity. And I don't know, I hear so many bad performances of this. I wouldn't call them performances, but just when people play it, they've got things wrong. It's probably the most abused piece on the planet. And one of the reasons is I don't think anybody, Beethoven was a little subtle. I don't think he made it clear. It's a waltz. Für Elise is a waltz. Let's take a look at it. 3/4 time. And we've got 3 and 1 and 2 and 3, and remember your accent values on our notes here. Dot it, 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 dot it. What is that implying? Pa, 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 pa. So, if we look at the keyboard, and I play the beginning of it, what if I put a waltz in it? Would that work? Pa, pa, pa. Works beautifully. It's exactly what he had in mind. But he didn't do that. He didn't do the pa. He has it in the tune. It's always implied throughout the piece. So, if we take a look at this, people start with all kinds of fingers up here, and it's really interesting. This is the first arrow of the piece. That's what I did. And I've got all 3 first arrows. I'm sorry. I have all 3 of the arrows at the beginning. The second arrow, I made it really big so we could all see it. We could all dig in and see what's going on. Okay? Right here. So, I'll post these. I think I can do that. Yeah, I think I can do that. So let's take a look at that first arrow. But I don't care about what's in the music here. But I will say one thing. It is dotted, long short. Dotted, 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 dotted. It's all jellos. They're all across the whole thing here. Even here, jello, gel. The end of it is the left hand playing a gel. I know it's a little unusual, but we'll talk about him when we start connecting him with the second arrow. Okay. So anyway, let's take a look at where the hand is. Beethoven put his hand on this chord. Now remember, always think of, if you can, to the extent you can, think of the composer doing something. He must have done something that you think it's easy. The highest note in this example is E, and the lowest one is A. The E is here, the A is here. So you at least think this. It's not always the case, depending on what you need to do. But if we look at this for a moment, the fingers themselves, E, D sharp, E, D sharp, E, B, D, natural, and then E, C, A. It all works well if you play, and when you play the ands, the 3 and all that, and that's what I want to talk about. How do we play that? Kids come in. This is what they look like. The fingers are all over the place. You're not doing that. Your hand is here. Plenty of people play this the wrong way. Not the wrong notes, the wrong way, and they render the rhythm and the meter useless. So, we want to drop on the 3 and. I'll play it without any pedal to start. And the next one's the same. A little bit louder, dropping a little bit more on that one. Then you've got a 5-2. Then you've got a 4-3. And then you've got the 1. Now the 1 comes with the 5 down here. They come together on a dotted. And the next guy is the beginning of a da. Okay? It's the beginning of an 8th note pair, but it's the end of this. You are falling on it, though. It is a louder note. Jello, 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 gel. Don't worry, the low will be there. Not right now, though. Technically, we're falling on keys. We are doing the free fall into the note and coming off the D sharp with the 4th finger. Just like that. Now later we can kind of manipulate that a little bit, maybe a little bit more legato-y with the pedal. And I'm doing little down-ups on the pedal, down and up-downs on the pedal, which we've talked about. Although we should get into that more too. So, but I'm not worried about the pedal right now. I'm very more concerned about this. You can see my hand is not using fingers this way. It's not dropping this high. It's falling a little into the E. Twice. Then it falls into the E and comes off the 2. So it's 5-2, 5-2, 5-2. 5-4, 5-4, 5-2. Then the 4-3, new. Then the 1. And it's just one note because the one end is down here in the left hand, or the jello if you want to think of it that way. And then another gel. But see how close, now this hand has to rotate. Hopefully you can see it, sure you can. Okay, that's it without the pedal. Very little motion. And the other thing is, I think a lot of people think this is, it's not that at all. They think for some reason that's fast. Some people maybe play it a little quicker. But they don't, sometimes they don't play it with any rhythm. And that's just not what Beethoven wrote. It's a waltz. Pa, 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 pa. So, let's take a look at this again. I want you all to try this. Left hand's on A, E, A, but it's not on A, E, A. It's going to rotate through A, E, A, E, A. If you look at the pinky, but also without the pedal, da, dit, da, da, dit, da. With the pedal, you don't hear the dit. But it's a louder thumb on this A. I've always told people it's kind of like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 syllable word. You can almost hear those syllables. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 5, 6. Got off of my count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you've got those little syllables at work. All of them are very gentle. Okay, so that's what that is. Kind of, it's kind of static, sort of static. Now, let's look at the next guy. I'm just going to look at him cold, but then we have to put them together to see what, there might be some sneaky little ghost hanging out in there. But look, if we look at the next guy, now, the next guy looks like this, okay? We have and 3 and 1. Now, I want to talk about that rhythm a second. Most pieces, very often pieces have a characteristic rhythm. Beethoven loved this rhythm, and 3 and 1. And before we look at it on the piano, I just want to mention how many things he wrote that did that. And 3 and 3 and 1. Dit da dit da. Dit da dit da. That's his Tempest Sonata. And that's that rhythm. And then the fourth piano concerto. Da. Sorry, starts here. Da. Da da dit da 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 dit da 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 dit da. Okay, all da da dit da. And here's the mother of them all. Dit da dit da. That's that rhythm. Shocked, aren't you? Dit da dit da. It's just done a lot more with a lot more energy. Dit da dit da. So it's same rhythm. Who would believe that Für Elise and the Fifth Symphony have the same rhythm? Oh, they do. Okay, now the next guy, he gives us a little bit of a choice, but we're going to hit a dit da dit da. Now there are two fingerings that can be used here. For the smaller kids, I tell them They're coming off the A, so they can move that pinky up to the B. See how close the hand's staying? But it falls. Free fall, a fall, an up, and a landing on that B. The loudest note in that is the B. Okay? Now, for a bigger hand, we can rotate through the 4. Some kids don't want to, they have trouble reaching this, so we do that. Okay? You have to take your own circumstance. But the 1-2-5-5 is absolutely wonderful. Now, when we hit that 5, we're not hitting it alone. We're hitting the E way down here. And we're playing a dotted da there. Now that dotted da contains a small ghost, a little bit of a rotation. We play the octave, we break the octave, and then the hand is moving up. The pinky's coming off the E, and the second finger, we want that second finger. Some people might use the third to be on the G sharp. That's a target within that arrow, trying to get there. And that comes right when you play that B. So our arrow is this much. Dit, da, dit. And you can free fall and stay on that B if you want to. Like that. So it's not very hard. It's not very hard. This is a bit of a challenge for some people to have that 5-1-2 right here. I will mark that to remind myself to write that into the notes that I post online. You see the 5-1-2 down there? Bump, 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 5-1-2. Right, the hand looks like that. Now with the pedal, you're going to have a pedal break between these. And nobody in this audience is going to hear the dit, da, dit. But it's there. We're doing that. Dit, da, dit, da. I'll make that notation too. Dit, da, dit, da. You can see my little dit down there and the little dits I wrote in. So if I play that with the pedal and break it between the two, do an up down on that new E chord. Bum ba dum ba. Okay. Now I said we would take a look at that after the other one. Okay, so let's go to the first one now. Put it over here. These are our two arrows now, right there, going to that guy. And the first guy, go back to him again. We'll take a look. I'll play it very slowly with dot. It's no pedal. Okay, now you notice one thing. During this guy, the left hand who had been here had to get down to that octave. So there is a little ghost there. The other thing you'll notice is that the last note, the thumb of the left hand and the thumb of the right hand are forming a dot it. That way, watch. Okay, so there's a little bit of mechanics between these two arrows which are going to be used to connect them. That's the first dot it we played with the left and the right hand together as a force. We talked resultants. It's left-right. Long left, short right. And we're creating that dot it to connect the two arrows. Do it again. And you're probably guessing that's going to be a dot it too. It is. It is going to be a dot it, okay? That's going to be the da, that D, that G sharp. Okay, so now with the pedal basically is used to just make the harmony, the full measures, and unfortunately these arrows don't fit perfectly in measures, but the pedal does. The pedal works in the measures rather nicely. Okay, you're dying for the last guy, and that's who's next. This one's quite comfortable because nobody really does anything. The left hand goes back to the first guy again, and this guy doesn't have any choice on the fingers. It's this. The dit-da-dit-da again, the Fifth Symphony again. But the hand lays right over those. Here you had to wonder whether you're going to use one finger or another. Here you don't have to worry. Okay? So, and when you hit that C, you're back to that first guy you played at the beginning of the piece, the A, E, A, da-dit-da. Okay? So if I play him, I'll play it without the pedal. Hands again. Once they're there, you do have the rotation in the left hand. You want to make sure you don't stick to those keys and get stiff on any of these. That one you can't. This one you could get locked. Just get used to that sideways motion. The first and last notes being the loud ones. And that last one's going to be that last one's going to end because the right, well actually, no, there is a dot it there. I'm sorry, I was thinking of the next phrase. Anyway, so now is there a crazy connection here when you go from this guy? Not really. You're just bringing your hand back to where you had started. This guy is very close. But the biggest thing to get used to is that even though people are not going to hear it, and that second finger in every case is in these two pages right here, these two guys. I'm going to write it in largely, as Scott Adams might say, bigly, largely. Big 2 here. Loud 2 here also. And when we put it together, you will hear that. You'll hear those louder 2s. I'll do it again. And here we go. Hang on just a second. In case you can see it. I don't think you can. I had them backwards. Sorry about that. Okay, again without pedal. 2, 2. Now, you're probably wondering why I'm yelling the 2 out, and I'm done discussing that. It'll be up online, and it's just this much. When you learn this and you get into that groove, the rest of the piece is actually pretty easy to learn. That's why I spend a lot of time on these first 3 arrows. By the way, the fourth arrow, after we repeat the other thing, is this, which I didn't print out, but then you know the whole first part then with that particular arrow. I'm going to play it again without the metronome. Okay? And with the metronome. Okay, so that way you just don't hear the dits. You should be doing them though. Those hands should be coming off the key, falling into a roll, drop and roll, onto another free fall. It's all technique. The reason I'm really big into the count here is because some people get the wrong idea. Because of the way Beethoven wrote it, they think that the meter is I'll play it the wrong way. And they get this feel of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's disastrous. And I know why it happened, because Beethoven was not careful which he usually was very careful about the way he wrote it out. He wrote 3/8 notes, and people start playing groups of 3. There are no groups of 3 in this part of the Für Elise. None. It's just jello, 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 with every third jello being louder. That's all. Jello, 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 jello. So that's really what it is. Jellos with every third one being louder. Now tomorrow night I expect to continue. I'm going to do the next part of this piece. Still hear the same dit-da, 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 dit-da. It's all over the place. That's what it is. That would be the second part. Then the third part is a mess of ease. Beethoven just wanted to kind of scurry around on ease a little bit to buy time to get back to the beginning again. And that part is really quite easy to play. It's just that it's a monster to keep your das and your dits straight. That's the problem. And we will look at it. We will take a look at it. My whole thing here is showing you how you take things apart and put them back together again, which is really what the whole art of practicing the piano is. And occasionally you find something that's kind of hard to do. But most of the time, when you don't know where the parts are, you don't know where you are, it's impossible to do. I'd rather things be harder to do than be impossible to do. So anyway, I hope that if you've ever tried to play this piece that you saw some things you didn't know. And if you never tried it, I hope you will, because you'll be learning it the right way. Anyway, I'll see you tomorrow with a little bit more Für Elise. When words fail, music speaks.